fought the rest, now try the best!
So now let's watch this video about the main man.
And in the current state of Tekken 8 Season 2, half a roster is OP. 6 more months of playing this current state of Tekken, and I'm going insane.
The developers know that people show up for the start of a new season. But if you hype up a mid-season update, then you basically like double dip. Players come back for the mid-season. And I think if they would have did something like that with Armor King, that would have been cool, bro. And I think that the Tekken developers not doing a mid-season big update is missing out on just the cheat code that a lot of other developers are tapping into. But from a balancing standpoint, Tekken 8 needs it badly.
I really like this game, and I play ranked all the time for hours on end, but I just go insane. Playing against Alisa, playing against Hwoarang, playing against Asuka, and it's just, there's no counterplay. If you're not playing one of those characters and you can throw back that karma in their face, it's miserable. I think it's so fucking shitty of the devs. And they use the excuse that they don't want to mess up the tournaments for the pro players. What about the rest of us who still support this game and play?
Arslan Ash did an interview at Evo Vegas where he said the developers need to balance the game right now. Joe Crush said on Twitter, it got a lot of likes, that they need to balance the game right now. Pro players are okay with it. Saying that you're not doing this because of pros and the pros all unanimously are saying do it, not only doesn't make sense logically because the pros are giving you the okay, but also pro players make up a small portion of the actual player base, like a 0.12% or something crazy like that, right? You have people who are literally like quitting and uninstalling. You should value that over pros, because the tournaments will always happen. And as we see with like TNS tournaments, whenever something does happen, TNS tournaments get more views. When Armor King releases, more people go watch, right? So if they did, once again, a mid-season update, more people would watch the tournaments to figure out what's changed. When nothing's changed for tournaments forever, and people know that Anna, Brian, and Hwoarang and stuff are like the characters dominating, people will be less inclined to check it out. I didn't watch Evo France for that exact reason. It basically was Evo Vegas again. Arslan bodied everyone in Evo Vegas with Anna, and he did it again in France. Why would I watch the same tournament twice?
We invest our time into the game, we want to improve, and we are 99.99% of the people who play this game. And we're not pros going to tournaments. But so we're gonna suffer to that extent because of a couple of pro players? And meanwhile, you look at Dota 2 and you see Valve, they don't give a shit. They'll launch a huge balance patch in the middle of the biggest tournament. So I'm just like, they could do it.
One thing that I will say about all of the people who are like revising the history, there's a lot of people who are talking about how Tekken 8 is better than 7. And I always say that Tekken 8 is a better game than 7. Because it has better story, it has more features, it has more to do. But if you talk about competitive, Tekken 7 unanimously takes the cake. And what a lot of people say is they talk about how Tekken 7 ended, but that's only half of the story. If you go back to season 2 and season 1, the game was great. But then also, if you don't look at the competition side, because a lot of the people who slander 7 were pro players who abused Korean backdashing. At my level in Tekken 7, scrub level, no one did that. Tekken 7 at a casual level was aggressive. It rewarded skill. It was a new experience each time. Tekken 8, with the nerfing of backdashing and movement and the buffing of offense, they did that because of a problem that existed only for the top players. They literally said that like Nee and Arslan would just Korean backdash all day, and they can't do that anymore. And they can't do that because it's more range, more plus frames, more tracking. A problem that only existed for 0.2% of players. The solution impacts everyone. That's a bad solution if you ask me. How did the way I play Tekken get impacted because of Arslan's Korean backdashing? Some people would argue that the reason why people Korean backdash infinitely in season 3 and 4 was because of counter hit tools. Throughout the course of Tekken 7, counter hits became stronger and stronger and stronger. One example of this is Brian's hatchet kick. This move was altered many times throughout Tekken 7, and I can't remember the way that it ended, but I know at one point in time, Brian Fury's counter hit hatchet kick gave you just like plus frames for like a follow-up or something, and then another time it like knocked down for like Oki, and then they buffed it again and they made it a counter hit launcher, right? Brian Fury's hatchet kick at one point in time in Tekken 7 was a counter hit launcher, and that's what I mean when I say counter hits in Tekken 7 was just pushed over and over and over again. And some would argue that's why pros in Tekken 7 was scared to press buttons, because one magic 4, one weird counter hit, and your health bar is gone. The reason why I believe that to be true, because the problem only showed up in season 4. In previous seasons of Tekken 7, no one ran out the clock. Like a real, like, I'm gonna get the life lead and now I'm gonna run. No one did that. So they removed KDB because of skill issue. No, it doesn't really have anything to do with skill. It's all about making the people fight. They don't want you to backdash. They want you to fight. So they made attacks have more range. There was one Call of Duty where if you camped and like hid in a corner, you will be shown on a map. It's literally that concept of like, we don't want you to play that way. So here's this thing that will straight up destroy you for playing that way. But the thing is, in Call of Duty, camping is super easy. In Tekken, wave dashing or Korean backdashing is one of the hardest things to do. Now, I know there's people who mastered it and there's people who do it like it's a piece of cake, but they're once again in like this small percentage of players who actually play. So once again, a problem that affected only a small few, the solution hurts everyone. Yeah, they want to destroy turtling. They don't want you to turtle. Turtling is Tekken's equivalent of camping. It was counter hits, fully launch your low parries, you couldn't step. Tekken used to be about pacing and timing. I agree. I 100% agree. The developers wanted to be about something else now. They wanted to be about spamming and insane comebacks and crazy moments. They want sparks everywhere, and that's what they want. With them making us fight, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it. The concept, I think there's something wrong with how you go about it. Like Armor King and Fakaram. Armor King and Fakaram are characters who are very aggressive, right? So it maintains that identity of like, let's get aggressive, let's press buttons. But it's not doing it in a way that Lydia, Raven, Asuka are, where those characters are infinite stances in your face and they're making you guess over and over and over, and if you mess up one time you die. That's not them. It's a different type of aggression, and what I would say is the correct type of aggression. Armor King and Fakaram can be very explosive, but it's not too burdensome. It's really what Tekken 8 should have been. Really, the old dev team who was working on the game from the start, those guys just didn't know how to do it. They just, looking at Armor King and Fakaram shows me that you can have a aggressive Tekken and it be fun. So look, you know how you were saying it's a skill issue? It is a skill issue, but it's not our skill issue. It's the developer's skill issue. The old developers didn't know how to make an aggressive game that didn't revolve around stances. That's why in season 2, what did they do? They gave everyone stances that goes into mix-ups, because that's the only way they can comprehend giving more pressure. They couldn't comprehend another way of making Tekken 8 faster than stances on block into mix-ups. This is the thing too about Tekken, is whiff punishes. Just a lot of things recover really fast. That part of people throwing out attacks when they're not supposed to and getting whiff punished, the developers wanted to help those players and make them more safe. So now you need more skill, more time to get in there and punish. That's the thing. There's multiple things happening here. Some of the changes was made to help trash players. Other changes was made to make pro players play a certain type of way. And all of this forcing players to do stuff resulted in this game where players feel like they're forced to do stuff all the time. Forced to guess, forced to this, forced to that, or die. And that's literally how it was designed. You know, a lot of people thought that some of this stuff was mistakes. Like, oh, they accidentally did this. Oh, did they? But once you realize that this game was very strategically designed this way by incompetent people, you're like, oh, we're screwed. I would say we was screwed, not we are, because the new dev team have shown a unique ability with Armor King and Fakaram. I am going to give them more time to show their skill. I do wish they can demonstrate it now, right? The game needs fixing now, but maybe, And here's the idea, right? Everyone's saying those devs need to fix the game right now, but you got to keep this in mind. Tekken 8 was built by, let's just say, Soul Calibur developers. The Soul Calibur devs have been pushed out and the Tekken devs are back. The problem could be so catastrophic to where the Tekken devs are sitting there with their hands on their hips talking about how do we fix this? Because I mean, when you think about it, right? Like when we think about how some of these characters can be fixed, the only conclusion we can come to is to simply remove whatever move. Those guys must be really thinking about like, bro, the previous guy who put this in the game is a moron. I would not be surprised if there's some of that going on. I mean, it has to be. Harada literally removed that dev team. Here's the thing. They could have balanced Anna, Harang in 6 months, but if you just attack those characters, then that's when the whataboutism kicks in. All the Harang mains and Anna mains and whatever broken character main then says, oh, what about that other character? What about Brian? What about Yoshi? What about this? What about that? What about Asuka? What about Claudio? So that may be another factor. Look, this is just my own cope. I could be totally wrong with this. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just trying to think logically about why they're not doing what they're not doing. And that's the only conclusion I could come to.